Welcome back to Sharing Your Stories. This time I'm bringing you a very brave girl that went back to Ukraine. Her name is Andriana Dudyk. She is working in marketing and is someone that I met in Spain a couple of years ago. She's experiencing a different adventure, in my opinion, of living in a war zone. Even though she is in a safer area like Lviv, she's experiencing certain challenges and certain new benefits of this environment. So maybe Adriana, you can tell us a little bit about you and how the things are going there.
Yeah, hi everyone. Thank you a lot for introducing me. So, as you have said, I really live in Ukraine now, and area where I live is plus minus safe. I live in Lviv. It's nearby. It's in the western part of Ukraine. Actually, since the war started, Ukrainians have faced lots of different challenges, and depending of time period, they change. Challenges that we used to have a year ago, they are different than challenges that we have now. What I want to highlight is like a few points. First of all, is safety within the country. Secondly, is usual life, how people live now in these terms, and future challenges that I see might have that we might have faced in the future. So about the safety, like when I talk to people, I notice that there are two types of people. First of them think that Ukraine is completely unsafe country and they cannot imagine people living here during the war. And second type of people, they believe that the war is over and Ukraine is continuing to live a normal life. And I would say that neither of these two people, these two ideas is right, because we are in middle of these two ideas. So what life looks like? People who live in the center of Ukraine, in the northern part of Ukraine, and in the western part of Ukraine, they have comparatively normal life, as you can say. We go to work, we go to cafes, to the cinema. I don't know. We travel from city to city. But sometimes our life is interrupted by bad news and air raids. So air raids, it's when we have rockets in the air or Russia launches drones in our air area. And in this kind of situations, we have to hide. We have to be very, I don't know, very. We have to think where to hide. Yeah. And people who live, and the other part of people, those who live nearby front line, their life is completely different, because majority of shops, brands, I don't know, facilities, they are closed. Sometimes they don't have electricity, they don't have heating, they don't have anything. But still, there are people who prefer to stay there in their cities, in their homes, and not to move to the safer parts of the country. The life there is completely different to the life of people who live here in Lviv or Kyiv. Yeah. Maybe I have some questions. I don't know.
How, for example, how do you deal with the heating or the electricity, especially during the winter? Where is it coming from for you? Because as you said, in the eastern part or the central part, there are bigger challenges. But how do you deal with it, especially during the winter that is relatively cold?
Yeah. About the heating, electricity, as I have said previously, challenges that we face now and in the past, they are different. Now in the summer, we don't have such big problems with heating and electricity. We don't have, we have electricity almost always, but it wasn't like that in the winter, because in the October last year, we had a lot of air strikes on our electricity plants. Lots of them were destroyed or severely damaged, and we had electricity timetables. It means that like you have a schedule when you will have electricity and when you will not have electricity. And we were living according to these timetables. For example, there were 3 main points in that timetable. White point, it's green point, it's when you for sure will have electricity. Red point, it's when you for sure will not have electricity. And white point, it's 50-50. If everything in the country is going well, you'll have electricity. If we have additional air strikes, you will not have electricity. And these points in this timetable, they last for 4 hours. So for example, you woke up at 8 o'clock and you see that there is electricity. So you'll have electricity till 12 o'clock. Then from 12 o'clock till 4, you supposedly will not have electricity. So as you have this timetable, you can plan your life. For example, I knew that on Wednesday, I have good timetable. I have electricity during work hours and I can stay home and I do not need to go to office. But Monday, Tuesday, Friday, I had really bad timetable from my house, and I knew that these days, shit, air rate. One moment. Yeah, this is how it is in Ukraine. Now we have air raid, but as I know, it's no rockets in the air. The Russians just put their planes in the air, and it means that they are trying to, I don't know, to train their planes or something like that. So it's not so dangerous right now. Yeah, I was talking about this. Our office is informing us about air raid. Yeah. So. Повітряна тривога. Просимо спуститись в укриття. Yeah. So about these timetables. So when you have the timetable, you can plan your schedule. And when you know that you will not have electricity, then you plan where to go to have electricity, to have internet. As it is important to businesses to have electricity, every small business or medium business, they were trying to be electricity independent. Lots of shops, cafes, co-workings, like companies, they have bought electricity generators and Starlinks. For example, now I'm at the office of my company. It's IT company, and for work we really need internet, electricity, and light. And in the autumn, our management cared about making office electricity independent, and it's like that. If there is no electricity in the whole city, I still can come to the office and I'll have everything here. We also have here showers, we have here kitchen, like everything. So it really is very helpful, and office made my life in Ukraine really easier, because I always knew that I can come here and have everything that I need. Yeah.
And for example, the electricity is often, where do you know if the sources, like for example, there are solar panels, or it's coming from petrol or any
for majority, people buy electricity generators that run on soil, on petrol. That's why prices on petrol in Ukraine were really high, because everyone needed it. Like I remember coming to the city center in the winter last year, and city center in Lviv is full of cafes, restaurants, like really entertainment zone. and you just come to the city center and you hear that sound. That is generators that are working all around the city center, providing electricity to these small businesses. Yeah, it was like that. About heating, it was pretty difficult because you cannot heat your house even with electricity generator. For example, my flat was heated on gas, but we have like a plant that provides this heating to a few houses. It's like central heat. I don't know if you understand what I mean. Yeah. And if there is no electricity in your district, it means that that plant that provides heat doesn't work, and it means that it's cold at house. What we did, we have electricity, we have gas stove, and we just switched it on, and stove helped us keep kitchen warm. We closed doors to other rooms, and we were sitting doing our stuff in the kitchen. And then when we were going to bed, we're just putting lots of clothes, very warm blankets, and sleeping like that. Yeah. What about people who live closer to front line? To be honest, lots of them didn't have electricity even for 4 hours a day. The supply lines, they are destroyed, and it's impossible to repair them now because the active war actions are going, and it's impossible to repair it. So some people moved to Kyiv, Lviv. Some people who are there, they just live in such wild conditions. Some of them have stoves that you can heat with wood, and they use them. Some of them just, I don't know, close warmly, and that's it. Yeah. About electricity, additional fact, lots of us bought like lamps that you can turn on without electricity. They work on batteries, and it helps as well. Yeah.
About the internet, can you tell us some details how the things are working there?
About the internet, now, like in Lviv, Kyiv, we have normal internet connection, like mobile connection, like that. But in the winter, when there is no light, no electricity in your district, it means that you don't have any mobile internet as well, because these towers that supply us with mobile internet, they work from electricity as well, and they don't work during lack of electricity. So in such cases, you're just without internet, without connection. You cannot call to anyone. You cannot surf in internet, just nothing. I was coming home at evening. There were no light, no heat, no internet, no mobile connection. You cannot call anybody. It was pretty tough. What helped me a lot, it is Netflix. I used to download TV shows and I don't know, movies, and just watch it at evening from my phone, like this. About frontline zones, as I know, people just don't have internet, and when they want to call somebody, they just walk to the places where they can catch signal. For example, there is a hill somewhere in the end of the city or countryside, and people just walk a few kilometers to that spot to call their relatives to say that they are alive. What about our soldiers? We buy, like, sometimes government, sometimes volunteers, we donate money to buy them Starlinks, so they stay in touch with the rest of the world. Yeah, like Starlinks are really popular in Ukraine now because it helps us stay in touch when there is no connection.
And have you ever seen a Starlink? How does it look like? Any thoughts about it?
What?
How does it look on a Starlink? Or have you ever seen one? Because I have never seen any.
Oh yeah, we have this office one. I have seen it today. Actually, we have it on our rooftop. It's like I don't know, panel on a triangle. It just catches internet from the, I don't know, satellite. Uh, I don't know the tech stuff. So yeah, and often people who can afford it, they buy themselves Starlinks as well, and generators to have them at house to make their households also electricity independent.
And do you know how much expensive are, for example, the generators or the Starlinks, or you don't have any idea about those?
Yeah, I know. One Starlink cost approximately $300. It's not so expensive for Europeans, but in Ukraine, people do not earn much, so not everyone can buy it. And about generators, it depends as well on the type. For example, we have that popular type of generator that is called EcoFlow. I don't know if you have heard about it. It costs approximately $1,000. And the problem is that when we have problems with electricity, the prices, they go higher. So now you can buy it for $100. When it comes to winter, they will cost more. So yeah, because the demand is growing, so the prices are growing as well. And I suppose that this winter is going to be even harder because our government, they warn us that our plants, they are still not repaired. Some of them should be rebuilt newly because they are in awful state. And it is said that we will have these timetables again. Yeah. And it's a little bit scary because I don't know how much more difficult it will be. Yeah.
And for example, let's think in from another perspective. What changes have you seen that have been different after the war? For example, after the war started, like I have seen that some Ukrainians have like digital passports that for sure in Europe we don't have or anywhere else. What developments you have seen that, let's say, have been a good thing in a way that didn't exist before the war?
To be honest, there are lots of things in different spheres. What you have said about our digital passports, it's kind of not completely true because it was invented not because of the war. We had these passports before the war, like long ago. I don't remember exactly the year, but it existed before. Now, during the war, the list of documents that can be digital grew. So this is the change that the war made. But the digital passport itself existed before. We have the app called Dia. Everyone can install it in your phone, and we can upload our documents there. We can upload our foreign passports there. We can upload our driving license, our child birth certification, certificate of marriage. What else? We also can vote through this app. For example, there are some questions that should be discussed on referendum or something like that, and we use these apps for that. I don't say about such really important questions, but one of questions that I remember that we voted for is about a statue. We have in Ukraine statue of Mother Ukraine. It is called like that. It's very high. It's higher than statue of Independence in New York. Or how it's called? Do you know?
The Liberty Church, the Liberty Statue.
Yeah, in Ukraine we have also like big statue. It's even higher than this one, and that statue keeps a sword and a shield. And on the shield, we have emblem of Soviet Union. And as this statue is very, very big, it's very difficult to take this emblem of Soviet Union. But we have that law in Ukraine of decommunization. It means that we remove all the signs of communistic government of Soviet Union. This emblem also should be removed according to that law. But as it's very big, it's very difficult and costly. And our government launched the survey through this app to the people. Do we want to have this emblem removed or do we not want to? And people voted. So actually, people voted for taking this emblem down and our triangle, the emblem of Ukraine on this shield. So now the works are ongoing and they are changing that emblem. This is what this app does. Another changes, it is about online work. Of course, that during COVID, people in all the countries, they started to work remote, but around the world now there is a tendency to coming back to the offices, but not in Ukraine. Still majority of vacancies they allow people to work remotely, and it's totally fine. Like not only in IT area, but digital marketing, sales, and more spheres, they are becoming digital, where it's remote, where it is possible. But about this, because of this electricity outrages, lots of people prefer to live in the cities where there are offices of the companies, because these offices, they provide electricity and internet. This is a tricky question. Another point is what has changed is culture and investment in development of our own music, our films, our YouTube, and so on. Before the war, lots of Ukrainians were listening to Russian music, watching Russian YouTube, Russian movies, and now it's completely opposite. People just canceled all Russian, and lots of Ukrainian YouTubers appeared. A lot of Ukrainian music appeared, and the way as people see Ukrainian is different now. Like lots of Ukrainians were lots of Ukrainians before the war, they perceived Ukrainian stuff as something worse than European, than Russian, than any other country. Ukrainian wasn't perceived as good. It was like, oh, and now it's not like that. And I think that it's positive because it helps economy. Imagine you're a singer, you want to sing in Ukrainian, and you know that if you sing in Ukrainian, you'll not get any listeners because other people think that Ukrainian is not prestigious. But now, if you sing in Ukrainian, you know that you'll have listeners because people like it and people need it. And it helps young people, talented people develop themselves and become artists, become YouTubers, become, I don't know, singers. And I believe that it's very, very good thing. Language. Lots of people before the war talked in Russian, like 50% maybe of people. Now lots of people switched to Ukrainian, and it's like must have to talk in Ukrainian at work. We have new rules about using the language in official areas, in restaurants, in hotels. So if you come to cafe or restaurant somewhere in the Kyiv, you are expected to be served in Ukrainian. It is expected that waiters had to start talk with you in Ukrainian, not Russian. If they start talking in Russian, it means that they are breaking law, because Russian is foreign language. It's like talking in, I don't know, Spanish in Ukraine, and why would Ukrainians understand Spanish? They would not possibly. And now we have the same attitude to Russian, because it's foreign language. You should not use it, because you live in Ukraine, where the only official language is Ukrainian. Yeah. What else changed? Yeah, there are also bad things about work, for example. There is a crisis in the world, and as I know, it's difficult to find job for Europeans, for Americans, but for Ukrainians, it's even more difficult, because despite the crisis, we have war, and businesses are afraid of using our services, because they consider risks, and it's easier to go to another countries to buy services there than in Ukraine. For example, for my company, it's IT outsourcing company, and before the war, we had like lots of clients. The IT branch was developing. The prices were like growing, and more people were starting career in IT. Now it's not like that, because lots of clients left companies. Lots of clients they didn't prolong the contracts, and many companies, small companies, they closed. Bigger companies, they are working, but still they have problems with finding new clients. Lots of salary reviews are frozen. It's like almost impossible to get salary review, or if you are beginner, it's almost impossible to find a job. For example, if you want to become project manager or business analyst, and you apply for a vacancy, one vacancy will have approximately 200 applicants. The same for quality assurance, the same for front-end developers, designers, for those who are beginners. For those who are more important, like middle, seniors, it's also difficult, but less difficult, because they still have experience and they know English. They are more agile, and it's less difficult. Yeah, like I have friends who were working in small IT companies, and companies just closed because clients canceled their contracts, and people were not paid money. Like my friend is expecting 3,000 euros from the company, and company said, we are bankrupts, we cannot pay you. And yeah, and he's looking for a new job now. Yeah, so such stories are really happening really often now.
And for example, like I wonder, like when a foreigner, if any foreigner goes there, for example, I have a friend who went to Lviv because his wife is from there, but they live here in Spain, but he doesn't speak Ukrainian. How does he deal with the people if they should speak to him in Ukrainian?
Okay, it's a different story. Like the rule is, if you are a waiter, you should start the conversation in Ukrainian. But if you see that the person says, I'm sorry, I don't speak, then you have to switch. But the first replic to the person should be in Ukrainian.
Okay.
And then you can switch to other languages. For example, if you see that the person in front of you speaks Spanish, and you, luckily, I don't know how, speak Spanish here in Lviv, then you can respond in Spanish. Or for example, when you apply for a job of waiter, the restaurant, the management of restaurant can set you conditions that you have to speak English, you have to speak Ukrainian, and I don't know, Spanish. And then it is it is expected from you that in case there will be foreigner, you will speak English, but still you will have to start the conversation in Ukrainian.
And then, are we going to see you as a singer or as an artist based on what you said?
No, I sing very bad, but maybe I don't know. Maybe I'll have another hobby in the future, but I suppose no. Yeah.
And what kind of things do you have for the foreseeable 6 months in Ukraine? How do you see the next winter? What are your expectations? How do you?
How do I see it? I believe that somewhere in the middle of October we will have new air strikes on our electricity plants, and then after that we will have problems with electricity. I believe that this winter is gonna be colder because last winter wasn't so cold, and this then must be colder with snow and frost. So how will my life look like? I'll just go to office every day and work from here. I moved because of electricity. I moved from my old flat to a new flat that is closer to office. So now I'm able to walk here and to be here in 20 minutes. So in such conditions, I'll just go to office every day. Then I don't know what else. I believe that there will be no significant changes in front line. I mean, winter is plus minus not very active period of time. It means neither our soldiers, neither Russian soldiers will be able to move forward. They will have to wait for more warm periods of time. As well, Ukraine is waiting for weapons, for planes and additional tanks. And as long as we don't have them, we are not able to deoccupy our territories. So it will be just very prolonged and difficult period of time that we have to live through, and then maybe in next summer there will be changes. I just hope that we will not have any scary news from Zaporizhia nuclear power, because a month ago there were rumors that Russians wanna put it on fire. And now nobody talks about it again, but you never know, maybe they will start talking about this again. And I hope that there will be no massive air strikes on like buildings where people live, at least. Yeah, because like 1 month ago we had a huge stroke in living house. It was nearby my apartment, like 800 meters. And one moment. Yeah. As I have said, we have these air raids often, and when you have them once a few days, you just get used to it. Yeah, and I got used to it as well. And now when I sleep and there is air raid in the middle of night, I just simply don't hear it. I just sleep through and that's it. And months ago, I was sleeping. I didn't hear the start of air raid. And then out of a sudden, bah. And it was this stroke. And I was like, oh my God, what's going on? I open my eyes and I see something like a smoke around me. I was thinking it's nearby my house, even my house, because you're waking up out of a sudden and you don't know what's going on. I had two ideas. It's either my house or it's nuclear power plant on fire and we're gonna die. But then my neighbors come to me and said, calm down, everything's fine, let's hide. And we just went to our bathroom where we don't have any windows, any glass, and we were sitting there. But then we heard another 2 or 3 strokes, and we decided to go in basement. And yeah, it was awful. And now I'm just putting all the alarms, all the notifications on, and if I have air raid in the night, I just wake up and scroll in our chats, in our internet groups, where our air defense notifies us where the rockets are. So if I see that there are rockets moving to my city, I just go and hide, because it's really dangerous. Yeah. Yeah, like that.
For example, any thoughts that you would like to give to the people that do not, let's say, understand what is happening in Ukraine, something that maybe you haven't said or you haven't shared that you would like the people also know? For example, how they can support you? Any additional thoughts that you would like to share?
Yeah, I have. I have 2 thoughts. First one is lots of people don't think how it's possible to combine war and life. For example, I have lots of foreigners who follow me on Instagram. Sometimes I post photos from travels, photos from concerts, something like that. And people might think, oh, but the war in Ukraine, how can you do something like that or that? And I want to give people idea that despite the war, people still continue living. They cannot just sit and think, oh my God, war, or they cannot constantly scroll through news or something like that. They still continue living, but now in new conditions. They continue communicating with friends and continue having fun. But all that is happening, it's happening with a war background. Still, when you are there at your home after meeting with a friend, you remember that other your friends, they are in the front line, and maybe you will not see them again. You still keep that in mind, but you try living, because it's impossible to live in stress constantly. And another point is that if you want to support Ukraine, just donate to Save Life in UA. It's our very big and trustful fund that is responsible for helping our army and Ukrainians who live in the front line.
Thank you very much for all the thoughts that you have shared with us, Andriana. I hope more people will discover about your experience, and as you said, sometimes we need to try to live our lives and don't just get stuck. Thank you for everything you share, and Slava Ukraini.
Героям слава. Thank you.